Looks like we are live. Hey guys, if you had trouble with your treatment plans before, have you ever had trouble choosing the right product? Today we're going to be talking about hair loss treatment strategies, and this is the hair wire. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hair Wire, the place where you get hair smart. This is your host, Sergio Calderon, alongside with Carrie Jarrett and Bisan Dipsy. How you guys are doing today?
We're doing great. It's so cold in here, and it is only 13 degrees Celsius. No, 16.
I would trade you. I think it's work.
I forgot how many degrees in Celsius is over here in Puerto Rico. Over here, so we're doing, okay, let me see. Okay, 29 degrees Celsius in Puerto Rico.
We should go to Puerto Rico, all of us. That's it.
Yeah,
I
Hey,
decided.
you guys are invited. You guys are invited to my beautiful island, so you can spend some quality time, beach weather all year long. That's how we do it here in Puerto Rico. So you guys are invited.
Yeah.
Hey, today, guys, we're going to be talking about hair loss treatment strategies. And the thing about strategies is, how we measure what we exactly need to treat someone's condition, and what are the things that we're going to be combining, how we combine it properly. And that's what we're going to be talking about here at the Hair Wire, guys. Now, we have a juicy topic, and, it's a lot of conflict, if we may say, whenever we talk about the different types of treatments, because people right now, they're losing their hair, right? And they're experiencing some different traumas. And what can they do? What can they do? Bisan, I'm going to start with you. So, she's like, okay, all right, here we go. What's he going to say? No, let's keep it simple. Let's keep it simple for now. So, people come into our clinics, right? And we see this a lot when people come and they want treatments for different types of conditions, yet they do not understand what is going on with them. So, can you walk us through the importance of having a good diagnostic process? And can you at least give us a few hints of different programs and different, at least, treatment measurement devices, or at least examinations that we can provide to have a better look, a better understanding what people are experiencing through, so we can actually make the right recommendations for them?
Sure. Your question actually is like it can be answered with two ways. First way is, as a trichologist, what should I do to help my client, right? As a trichologist, also, we are bombarded with all kind of systems and softwares and tests, and if we don't do our due diligence of teaching ourselves what is cell well-being, what is for epigenetic testing, for example, what is blood chemistry analysis, and also teach ourselves how to read the reports, because when you have a client next to you, after you do your diagnosis and you want to search or like find the proper testing for your client, also, we are very ethical people in a way that I just don't want to get any test for my client, right? I want to get that test that is going to solve that problem that I am diagnosing right now. That's why trichology education is very high and it's very complex, because it comes first. You have to know exactly what your diagnosis is all about and to use the right tools for your diagnosis. And to begin with the right tools, we use scopes and microscopes. This is the basic, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to a scope, you have a variety, you have massive amount of scopes that can be $20 scope and can be $5,000 scope. So depending on where you are in your trichology journey, I'm not saying that when you open your trichology, you should buy the $5,000 scope. Not at all. That's not fair either to you as a business owner. But I'm saying that find your balance, your ground. And when you find your tool, let us say it's an average tool that is not way too expensive, it's not way too cheap, learn that tool and try to maximize your benefit from using that scope. When you see a picture of a scope on the scalp, for example, Actually, the scope is important tool for you as a trichologist, but your knowledge is even better, because even though if it's giving you the best image of the scalp of your patient, if you really don't know what you to look for in that image, you will not diagnose properly. Let us say, like, the next step, we diagnose that client properly, and let us say they have an alopecia areata. When it comes to autoimmunity, it can be from too many different outlets, right? So
Mhm.
should I do an immunity report? Should I do a blood test? Should I do like a gut test? What should I do? And also, like, as I said, like, the clients is bombarded with products. We as trichologists are bombarded with systems. So you know, right? It's like it can go both ways. So in a way, the more you know, the more practice you know, and that's why I believe in the hair wire, because here what Kerry is like, what Kerry knows, maybe I don't know. What Sergio knows, maybe I don't know, and vice versa. So
Yeah.
when I do have a complex case, I will go to Kerry and say, it looks like an immunity problem. Do you think cell well-being, which is an epigenetic testing, will be good, or do you think I should go with the blood chemistry analysis route? What should we do? So here is where we all collective come together to have a good decision, because you as a trichologist, you cannot buy all these tests, you
That's
cannot buy
true.
all these systems, you cannot invest in all the stuff, but at least as a trichologist, have the basics and build on it slowly. And as a client, you want to also, your client, you should know your client. Your client is not gonna, some client want to order 5 tests, some client doesn't want to order any test. So, right?
You know what,
Yeah,
though? A good assessment, like a good trichologist with a good
exactly.
assessment, rules things out. And that's where you do all the testing, because sometimes, like, you don't need all those fancy tests.
Exactly.
Sometimes you can find just from asking and answering all the questions, and then use those next steps and be like, okay, this is obviously not what it is. This is now what we're going to use this. And then you go into those expensive tests. But a lot of times it's just ruling things out with those questions. So as I've been dating clients with, like, this costs this costs that, this costs this, and now it's like this big huge
Yeah,
bill.
don't be salesy. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just getting there and just finding out if you need that first. And a good trichologist will do that because they're narrowing things down. And, you know, and that's why we see a trichologist, is because we don't cover it up. We get to the root of the problem, literally, to come up with a strategy. So, yeah.
And these
Now,
all tests are after all tools. Sorry, Sergio. These are after all tools when your basic diagnosis is like shaky in a way, and you want to have more confirmation of what your diagnosis is, or it is like when it's like toxic loads, when it's toxicity, when it's hormonal imbalances. Actually, it becomes so complicated in a way, and you want to help your client. So you will add one layer at a time, but also every layer you should consult with your group, with your people, because like you may not need all these tests, as Kerry was saying. So that's
that,
why
that's
knowledge is
that.
important.
That's one of the things that you mentioned. People may not need to do all types of tests in order to get an accurate reading on what's happening to them. Kerry, you were mentioning about maybe just asking questions. We are able to ascertain the right information, but to do that in a level that is consistent with other tests, there's a lot of education that comes behind it. Now, walk us through the educational process that many of us go through that we need to increase on every time, because it is important to be updated.
Oh, absolutely. It's so important because things are changing. There's more information, and we're in a world where we can communicate more and get to know people more. I know the stuff that I learned 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago is very different from what I know now. And it's because of collaboration. And some people may be a specific expert in that specific area and know more than I do. So it's so crucial because things change, science changes. Like with androgenetic alopecia, which is genetic hair loss, we're finding right now that it's a whole new series of complications and findings in it, and knowing that the hair loss in the frontal compared to the crown is completely different based on genetic hair loss. So it's updating your science and knowing that, you know, things are research is improving immensely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we should be as fast as it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, you know, the whole point of the hair wear is for us to connect those people and share that knowledge. Like, Sergio, you just came back from Italy not too long ago, found out huge findings about genetic hair loss. Both you just came back from Florida on a conference on, you know, the importance of self-awareness.
We missed you, by the way. We missed you at the conference. We wish, you know, with all the three of us could have been here at the same thing at the same time. But yeah.
I really wanted to be there. It's just, you know,
yeah.
I'm a mom with kids in school.
Don't worry. That will come very soon. But the thing is, you know, folks, whenever a trichologist goes to work, first of all, we get educated. We get a set of tools. And as we go through the consultation process, we start seeing different needs. And throughout those needs, we then determine the types of tests that we will first do. Now, some of the first tests that we do are pretty general, and basically that's the way you go. You go from the general to the more specific, and you narrow it down to pinpoint exactly what's happening. And then after that, then we start generating a bunch of ideas of how to treat the condition, and we go through the different procedures to the different protocols, and we start selecting what we believe is the best choice to treat this type of condition. Now, many patients don't realize this, but if you have multiple conditions, we as trichologists, we're gonna treat the one that looks like more urgent. And as that condition diminishes and becomes less intense, we're going to be start moving out to the next one. So we start balancing your scalp, start balancing your hair. And, you know, sometimes people don't get it. You know, we're trying to work one thing at a time. Sometimes we are able to work 2, 3 different things at the same time. But let me give you an example. If we are dealing with someone who has psoriasis, someone who has psoriasis and sebderm at the same time, which one would you treat first? And naturally, we as trichologists, we will treat the one that is most obvious, the one that is coming out, because one condition can mask the other. And for instance, if I see someone with psoriasis and the thing that jumps out is basically sebderm, the seborrheic dermatitis, I'm going to start treating the seborrheic dermatitis first. And as I travel through the process and I see that the sebderm is getting better, then we're going to start treating the psoriasis. And then, you know, once I get both under control, then, you know, we're on level. We're on level.
Yeah.
But there are different strategies that you can combine. I mean, people may want to do both treatments at the same time. People may want to do treatments more differently. So the idea is that we use technology as a way to complement our process, so we are able to determine the treatment course. Now, talking about technology, Carrie, what are some of the tech that you like to use, particularly doing your diagnostic processing with your customers?
Yeah. Well, my first tech is actually asking all of the questions and having people very aware of their self-awareness, because I find a lot of people are very unself-aware, and once they start answering and asking all those questions, things come to the surface and they're like, oh, I didn't notice this. I didn't notice that. As the amount of people who aren't self-aware, it doesn't blow my mind. I see it in today's culture because we're so stressed out and so busy. Yeah. But a lot of people don't understand, like, why am I craving onions? Why am I craving chocolate? And just educating people on that. So my first tool is education and research and talking to my network. And then after that, I'll bring in tools if I feel necessary. My favorite tool that I like to use is Cell Wellbeing, mainly because it's an epigenetics test where I pull the hair from my occipital, scan the neuroactivity off of the papilla. And the papilla is that little muscle that gives you goosebumps on your arms when you're cold or scared. And what it's essentially doing is measuring the neuroactivity off of that off of the papilla, and it gives me information on the nutrients that you're lacking. And we could get that from blood work, but unfortunately with the blood work, it's usually a couple days past by the time I get a look at it, so it's not in real time. With this test, it's in real time. And I find too, I don't know where I am, but sometimes doctors will let their clients go and get blood tests anytime. And so if you're getting a blood test, say on iron, and you're ovulating, the test is going to be inaccurate. And a lot of clients don't know that until I tell them, and then they have to go through the whole procedure and go get the blood work again. So to skip that, I like to do the cell well-being, and I get to know if they're lacking iron. And if you say you're lacking iron, I'm also seeing if you're depleted in iron, zinc, copper, all of the minerals, all the nutrients that you need. And as a trained trichologist in epigenetics and nutrition as well, I'm able to analyze and see what's missing. And as a trichologist with this cell well-being, we can measure it for specifically hair, skin, and nails, but also immunity. But quite honest, a lot of times hair loss stems from immunity in alignments first. And so I like to see if your immune system is in check before I go look at the hair, nails, and skin specifically. But because I am trained in that, I do a double bang for your buck, and I'm able to transcribe it for immunity and hair, skin, and nails at the same time. And then with this report, I'm able to also analyze your systems. So we like to, in epigenetics, analyze your systems as individuals. So your body as a whole, and then we break down your gut support system, because that's its own system. And then we look at your circulatory system, which is another system that's all on its own. And so I'm able with this report to break down the three systems and see what's going on and what's having cause and effect. So for example, gluten could affect your body as a whole, or it could only specifically affect your gut. And so I'm able to kind of pinpoint what's happening. And then from there, I might bring in more tools. So my favorite, I do have treatments which I recommend if I don't need to go further for further tests. But if I don't have to go further tests, what I'll do is I'll recommend a program with recipes where they could go and have where I tailor exactly food-rich recipes in the nutrients that they're lacking or depleted or needing. And it'll give them recipes to follow. So I'm not necessarily giving them a food plan, but I'm giving them recipe cards rich in the nutrients that they're needing to improve their hair and skin health. And then if I need to do supplements, then I'll bring in supplements. But I try to do food first, because food does so much for the body. And supplements, I find too, is a lot of us are over supplementing, causing more damage, or also we're being dependent on it as a crutch rather than really understanding our bodies and our food, nutrition, health. And then if I find that that isn't enough, then I might be like, oh, okay, your gut is an array. This is not going to solve it. Then we might go and do a further test. Like Basan has a test that she does for gut health. And that's where I might be like, Basan, I need your support. I need you to come in here and help me with this. Let's do a biome test. Let's check their gut. Their gut is an array. Let's fix this. Or if it's the circulatory system, that's when we might go and look and do a blood chemistry analysis and check to see what's going on with the blood. Or me, I have a background in epigenetics. Maybe I might do an epigenetics self-awareness test on them to see and kind of go from there and really figure it out. And then if it's further and I'm like, hey, it's not improving, then I'm like, Sergio, we need this. Sergio, it's hormone. Come on, jump in. And that's when I use my tools. So
Yep.
I like that approach. One of the things that I wanted to comment to, for instance, I had a case yesterday, and her blood work showed that her copper levels were high. She had, of course, androgenetic alopecia, and very commonly we see with androgenetic alopecia copper levels going up. But on her epigenetic testing, her coppers were low. And this is what clicks me, and this is what drive me nuts, because she had a lot of copper, yet her cells were not absorbing it.
Is she wearing a copper bracelet?
No, not that I know of, not that I was aware. But having those tests at the same time, made me realize that the importance of a test like the cell well-being equipment allows you to get a general view, and you can pinpoint from there and move to something more specific. And I like the cell well-being approach because, first of all, with it you can customize a meal plan, also a nutritional plan with it, because you can see deficiencies. But most of the time people they don't want to get into a diet right away. You know what I'm saying? You just tell them you have to start eating this, and that, and you just should stop eating this, and they'd be like, "I'm not gonna do that."
We're not going to stop coffee, Sergio. That's it. Period.
Yeah, no, I prefer give me pills, give me pills. I
I am
want
not
the
stopping
pills.
coffee. Yeah.
But the thing
But
is, the problem with that, like, I have to interrupt with the copper because a lot of people are like, well, the blood, it's not working. You could have too much copper and you're not absorbing the copper because you're missing a coenzyme, or you're
yeah,
missing something that helps flush it out, or maybe your gut support system's in a way and it's not able to decipher the copper and distribute it the way it needs to be. So that is why it's important. Like, I see people low, quote unquote, low in iron, and they see their blood work and they have it's spiked in iron and they're giving iron supplements, but it's because they're lacking, they don't have ferritin or their zinc or the,
exactly.
you that's why the solo beam report is so important, and checking the blood, because you could see the missing. And with blood work, you can't check all of that. You can't. A lot of times I'm like, okay, we didn't check this, the iron's low, I have to send them back for another requisition and be like, okay, let's go look at this.
Plus the cost. The cost of blood tests is way higher than the cost of cell well-being.
True, true. I mean, depending if your health insurance is able to cover it, then good. But
Yeah.
for most people who are out of pocket, uh,
Health insurance doesn't even cover vitamin D, so which is very crucial for her patients.
again, depending on your state, those are the type of things. So you as a customer, if you're watching, simply when you walk through a clinic with a trichologist, depending on your area, try to the different types of testing according to what's available to you, and usually we will go from what's less expensive, and as we need to move on to something more more pricier because we need to, then we will. But the whole idea is that throughout this type of test, we are able to gather the right information so we can plan properly for the type of treatment. Now, Kerry brought something very interesting, Bisan, and I want to refer this to you because on the subject, when people are missing the right coenzymes, they're not absorbing. They have large amounts of maybe zinc, maybe copper, maybe iron, yet their cells are not absorbing those properly. What do you think could be happening for those cases?
It's a leaky gut issue. It's a leaky gut. So most of like American people are like 80%, we have inflammation in our gut, and that is due to the soil that our foods are being you grow in a soil that is depleted in nutrients, and with all the GMOs and the artificial things that they add to the food. Unfortunately, we keep ingesting this, and after like decades of ingesting chemicals in our food, 80% of American people have leaky gut. What leaky gut is when the intestines, when you're like the wall of the intestine is like so thin you can see through it actually. So what happens is it starts to crack, and as if it's like starts to crack, and all these toxins that you are ingesting through your food is lacking to your bloodstream. And what happens when that happens, the inflammation recirculate in all your blood. That's why when you have a leaky gut, you'll have a brain fog, and you will say, what has this to do with that? Because it's in your bloodstream already. So so basically when you eat high dense food, like when you even go buy organic food, and when it's possible, and you have all your supplements because you are deficient in iron, then you take all this iron, but it's not getting absorbed because your gut is not functional properly, and then it's a snowball. It's fishy cycle.
Exactly.
So we start with one nutrient that is lacking in your system, to the second, to the third, just because whatever you're eating, whatever supplements you're having, is not getting absorbed properly. And this is even worse when you spend that much money on tests that tell you need all these supplements, which is great, and then you pay all this money to have it, and your body is not even absorbing it. It's just money down the drain. So I believe when my client comes to me, the first thing I try to do is ask questions that will lead me if they do have a leaky gut or not. And these questions are just from the kind of food they eat, the stress levels they have, all these, the trauma they went through. All these will circle to a leaky gut. And when you have a leaky gut, believe me, nothing else will work. If you don't
Now,
fix it, nothing else will work.
now tell me how with with the leaky gut issue, how does the Viome plan comes into play, and how do you work it?
Sure. So this is how I fixed my leaky gut issue. Like years ago, I had a massive trauma in my life which stopped my digestive system completely. So when my digestive system is not absorbing any kind of food, all the money I used to burn on organic food, I thought I should buy just more good quality food. It didn't work out. Take supplements, it didn't work out. It's just money down the drain. So what happens is I learned about the Viome test, which is a stool test. You do it at home. You buy the kit from the online, it's an online company. You buy the kit. It comes to your house. You do
By
the
the way,
stool.
we have a special link for that.
Yes, we do. And I am in my see. I take my Viome seriously. So I'll come to that. So basically, you do the stool test at your house, you send it over, and then when the result comes back to your practitioner, your trichologist, and yourself, it's an app on the phone. So the app is on the phone. It will tell you what kinds of food that is disagreeing with your gut. And usually these foods are the foods that you eat the most, by the way. Yeah, because
Yeah,
when we like for me, I keep eating hummus, 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 hummus.
it's so good.
Yeah, what happened is I overwhelmed my gut, and now the hummus is a toxin to my gut.
Yep.
Though hummus is one of the best foods you can ever have, but you got it because we have an inflamed gut. Your gut is overloaded with hummus. So when you keep giving it, it will just worsen the gut more and more and more.
About the case that I was mentioning, that she had the high copper level, and yet on her cell well-being exam says that she needed copper. One of the things that she told me that she ate a lot, and the cell well-being was saying to her, "Stop eating," was spinach.
Spinach.
She
I was
Yeah,
about
she
to
was
say that.
eating bunch of spinach, and yet the system tells her, "Stop eating spinach. Put it on a hold for at least 90 days so we can rebalance your body, and
Correct.
then and then work with it." I find this so amazing. I
Right.
find this so amazing because people need to understand how different systems can give us the right information, and us as specialists can drive people to the right treatment plan, and it
True.
is something amazing. Now, Carrie, your husband is a chef. Now, here's where the diet comes into play. Now,
Mm.
we have this information. What do we tell people? How can we properly, balance the equation in the diet end?
Oh, you're on
Okay.
mute.
Yeah, yeah. Nope. Still. The mic is dead. Check your cable. Maybe it's disconnected because it doesn't say that it's on mute.
Oh, we can't hear you.
We can't hear our friend Carrie. Well, hell, I'm going to be talking for us.
Okay, let me open my Viome.
No, well, basically, whenever we talk about the different treatment plans, a good diet definitely plays a big role in this process, because people need to keep at home the process. You see, it's not just the pills. It's not just
No.
limiting yourself to a particular diet for X amount of time. It's what happens afterwards, because after you finish your treatment, after you have been balanced, you need to keep it.
Mhm.
You need to be able to hold that lifestyle that will keep you healthy, that will
True.
keep your hair healthy, that will keep your hair growing, that will keep your sebaceous gland from turning into toxic sebum, producing, keeping your sebaceous gland to producing toxic sebum. So it's being rebalanced. Your microbiome on your scalp is being rebalanced. And a lot of people think that, I thought shampoos does that. Well, shampoos are just part of it, but your diet has about more than 80% of the treatment that we actually need to get you to the right place. So, what we do on our daily basis with our diet has a tremendous effect on how our hair reacts. And this is why here at the Hair Wire, we talk so much about nutrition. We talk so much about dieting. We talk so much about, the different conflicts that they are with different supplements, because our gut drives what our hair will become. All right. And without it, without the proper nutrition, basically we have no hair. It's as simple as that. So our time is up. We're already 30 minutes up. So we need to say goodbye. Carrie, I don't know if your mic is working.
It's not.
All right, don't worry about it. So we say goodbye. We say hello. Till next time, guys. God bless you all. We'll see you then. Till next time. Bye-bye.